This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Welcome to the Warner Brothas Podcast. My name is Keenan, joined by my brother Kyle, joined by Timmy. Guys, WNBA's on right now, but we got a big weekend after we had a great Thursday night game. How are we doing?
Pretty damn good. It was a great Thursday night game. Unexpected, for me at least, but it was really good.
Mm-hmm. These two division opponents play each other close about every time they do play. Kyle Shanahan broke his streak. McVay had beat him in the last 3 games, I believe. So good for him. And return of the Mac-10, he balled out. Good for Mac Jones. Good for ex-Patriot Mac Jones. Kyle, how are you?
I'm great. I thoroughly enjoyed last night's game. Crazy sort of ending, crazy fourth quarter, interesting overtime, interesting end of the overtime. I'm good, though. I'm glad to see Mac performing well, for sure.
Yes. Do we want to talk about that game in a little bit more in depth,
Sure,
or are we going to leave it kind of as is?
That's a great game.
So it was a very good game. The 49ers got a very, very big win. They beat the Seahawks earlier this season, and they've beat the Rams now. So the two teams they should be competing for within the division. And I think the 49ers, even with the injuries, they showed that they can still perform because they do have one of the best coaches in the league, as we well knew. But as long as you got competent quarterback play on this team, Kyle Shanahan can make it work, and then Robert Saleh raises that floor defensively. So overall, I think the 49ers are showing that regardless of injury, they're going to be a team that you're going to need to get rid of in January, because I don't think that they're going to find a way out of. I think they'll find a way into January in the playoffs. So good for the 40.
That's a change up from what you said last week.
I was worried. The injuries worried me, and I thought that their injuries were going to trickle too much, but they did play one of the better teams in the league in the Los Angeles Rams. The defense looked good. They made a defensive stand. They were opportunistic when they needed to be. Obviously, the Rams didn't execute at the highest level, but they were opportunistic. And then offensively, doesn't matter. Kyle Shanahan's going to put you in great situations. The offense wasn't more of my concern. The defense was more of my concern. And if the defense can showcase that and continue to do that, then I do think they'll be in a position where they'll be playing in January, and someone will have to get rid of them in January.
Interesting. I thought it was. You say competent quarterback play. I mean, I think Mac's playing as good as any quarterback.
He's
right
playing very good. I'm saying, like, if you get at least competent quarterback play from them, the 49ers. But, like, he's playing way better than competent. I don't want to. I just wanted to say that. He's playing great.
Yeah, it's nice seeing Mac run this offense. He looks super comfortable. Plenty of touches for McCaffrey last night. Right? Yeah, exactly. Plenty of touches for McCaffrey last night. On the other side of the ball, Puka is just getting force-fed the ball left and right through these first 4 games. It's going to be very interesting to see how his season progresses. I worry about him as far as an injury concern. He very much reminds me of Deebo Samuel. He is such a physical, and a little bit of Julian Edelman, too, with the physicality and recklessness that he plays. I really enjoy watching him play. But great game. Very interesting ending to the game, once again, with that 4th down call. You got one of the best offensive coaches in the league in Sean McVay. And he got very vanilla. Like, if you're going to run it there, why not go jumbo backfield and just say, hey, you know what I mean? Because clearly the Niners were prepared for it. So why not go all in, go jumbo, if you're not going to go play action, or if you're not going to roll out there? Very interesting. But great ending to the game. Great forced fumble at the end of the fourth quarter there, as the Rams are about to score and the Niners punch it out at the goal line. One of the better defensive plays you'll see. So, it was a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It seems like every time I make a point to say, like, how much I don't love these Thursday night games, we actually get a good one. It's been actually, like, I think we're 2 for 4 as far as 2.5 or 4 even, I'll say, because at least last week's was a good ending. But, we've had better Thursday night games than not so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Keenan before the show. I don't love the call to just run it on 4th down, game on the line. I can't imagine a world where they don't want to get the ball in Puka's hands. Like some designed target, you just got to reach over the line of scrimmage, man. Put it in his hands right there, and he's got it. So they made it look really easy on the touchdown for Puka at the in the game. So I thought that that's a similar play that they would run, but they did not. And then for the 49ers standpoint, this is a game that the three of us, not Kyle, but the three of us kind of picked this as like a convincing Rams W because the 49ers were super injured, right? They had 3 people get ruled out on Wednesday. They're going to get more healthy. They're going to look better than this potentially. So I'm feeling pretty good about the 49ers where they're standing. Yeah, going forward, I think they'll be a fine team. Like my 13-win season that I predicted is not off the table at all, and they've been injured all year long. Every position has been injured a little bit. So
yeah,
it's funny because this was the Rams last year who were super injured super early, and I'll actually compare the Rams to another team we'll talk about later. But I was actually encouraged, and we talked about this. I believe it was either last week or the week before, but I kind of said I was encouraged by their injuries just because they didn't happen week 8 on. Or last year, it was like it started early, but it never ended. It does seem like they'll get healthy here by the end of October. Brock Purdy, who knows, right? Brock Purdy, they might already have a quarterback, or they might have 2 quarterbacks. I don't know, but it does seem like they'll get healthy at the right time. And for the listeners or for the viewers, I mean, y'all saw for Tuesday's episode, I actually picked the Rams. I switched it to the 49ers once I found out Mac Jones was starting. Not because he's a better quarterback necessarily than Brock, but he definitely seemed healthier. And I liked him. I liked him off of rest rather than Brock Purdy coming back from injury, having a tough Sunday game, a physical Sunday game against Jacksonville, then having to play a divisional opponent on Thursday. So I just liked Mac a little more for that matchup. Got me thinking, I don't know if you guys want to talk about this now or if you want me to ask later in the pod. I'll ask it right now. I've always talked about having the most quarterback depth possible, like how I wouldn't mind if you had 3 quality quarterbacks. How would you feel? Like, it almost seems like it would be beneficial to have a very quality second quarterback to play in these situations. Even if you had an elite quarterback, like on these short weeks, it's very beneficial to have a backup quarterback to just throw in there who's competent. That would take a lot of scheming and team building throughout like off seasons, of course, or drafting. But I've thought about that the past few weeks, like how like on a Thursday, because you're only on 3 days rest and really hardly any rest. You might practice that Wednesday. Your body's at such a disadvantage. Quarterback's the most important position. If you got someone like Mac or anybody who can just fill in, it would never happen. But I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I think it'd be tough to say, hey, Patrick Mahomes, you're not playing this week because we have X coming in. But I also do think that there needs to be, if there's not already for teams, an increased value at the backup quarterback position, because we're seeing, even though he had played well before and when the first absence of Joe Burrow, but we're seeing with like Jake Browning and how the Bengals are in a situation offensively where they look horrendous. But obviously, it's not the talent around Jake Browning. Jake Browning just hasn't played well. So you have situations like that, even though I thought he was going to be better than what he is. But then you have a situation like the 49ers where you're not just missing Brock Purdy, you're missing your 3 best receivers in Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall, and Kendrick Bourne says, hey, born again, we're good. And you have Christian McCaffrey, who's 2nd in the league in receptions and 3rd in yards as of this moment in time. And you're like, okay, so if you have a guy who is competent behind center and who can actually come in and run the offense, it matters. So, yeah, there should be more emphasis on that backup quarterback position. You should never want to use it. Like, I know having a backup quarterback behind Josh Allen, who seems like very good at least for the role, you don't really want, because you're like, I don't ever want Josh Allen not to play. But realistically, having that guy in case, you don't have to have a season go. If Josh Allen misses 4 weeks, you don't have to have a season go like, man, well, we had it and then we don't now. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was going to bring up the Bengals situation because preseason, if you would have had me like rank all the backup situations, I think I probably would have put Jake Browning closer to the top than I would have the bottom, right? Because when he played 2 years ago, he looked really good.
Still would, honestly.
Yeah, even now, there's a lot of situations that are definitely worse. So but you just never know. You know, these guys coming in, they're not getting reps with the one, so you'd now be changing up your entire practice schedule on a short week. Potentially, you know, it might just throw a wrench into things all the time. So it would be really tough to do it for sure.
Would be something to look forward to as the game progresses or as the season progresses once it does officially go to 18 games, because then you will have a second Thursday night game likely. So it'll be interesting, especially once it does go to 18, how teams approach the backup QB position, because you just see more, it seems like, and I could be wrong, but it seems like you do see more injuries at the QB position now that it is a 17-game season.
I could see it with someone like Tua. I couldn't see it with one of your marquee guys.
Sure, I mean not literally, but I mean I'm saying how it could be a luxury. You know, it'll never happen.
Yeah,
it'll never happen. But it had me thinking, putting a backup in on a Thursday, a competent backup. You know, it's a luxury. And it's something that could be advantageous.
I'll give you an example of two teams that already went to their backup quarterbacks, but say like the Giants had Russ still starting and the Browns had Flacco still starting. Those old quarterbacks on a short week. Maybe you just say, here, Dylan Gabriel, and hey, here, Jackson Dart. For that 1 week, you guys go in, and then next week we give them a whole, basically like week and a half, 2 weeks to rest themselves up and then them get back in the game. That makes sense for sure. So like if you, especially with the older quarterbacks, that would make sense so they don't have to, on a short week, turn around. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Dart are both now starting because they have bench. But in that situation, I get it. But let's get into these other picks unless we have any more on that game. We got another overseas game. We've got Minnesota staying over. And across the pond, we got Dylan Gabriel making his first start. Shout out to Dylan Gabriel for being in this position there. Shedeur Sanders is still third on the depth chart. His no-talk interview, fun, cool. But we got Cleveland as 3.5-point home, quote-unquote, underdogs in this game. Timmy, what are your thoughts on
it? It's a little crazy to me that they have Minnesota back-to-back overseas games. I thought they would just let them come home and rest, you know? That's just a long process that no other team is going to have to deal with.
I think they did the same thing to the Jags last year, where the Jags
or the Falcons. It was one of those two
last
teams.
Couple years the Jags have.
I think it was both.
I think the Jags the Jags might do it later.
I think the Jags were there for 2, and then Atlanta played the Jags, and they stayed over, if I remember correctly. But
it doesn't make sense to me because there's only a couple teams in the whole season that have to deal with a situation like that. You're automatically at a disadvantage. So I think that's crazy. I think this is heavily a defensive game. A rookie QB in his first start against who I still think Minnesota is a good football team defensively. They're still definitely there. I still think, at least. So I think we get a really low scoring game here. I'm going to take Cleveland to win it. Just because I like their defense a little bit more. So I'll take it 13-10.
Man. I actually discussed this game at length last night. I was on the Hype is Real podcast again. Shouts to those guys. Shouts to Ray. Shouts to John B. And I swear between these two podcasts that I've done the last 2 weeks with them, I've never talked as much Browns as I have in my life. Those guys are from Cleveland, and I've never in my life.
This is for you.
I've never in my life talked this much Browns. And John B actually picked the Browns too. I don't know if I can agree with you and John B and Tim on that, but I'm gonna go Vikings. It does lend itself to a low scoring game. I don't know. I just know the Browns, when their defense was at its best 2 years ago, it did really well at home, but it did not travel well. So I'm not sure
And they're traveling.
And they're big time traveling. I'm not sure if that's an advantage or disadvantage.
Even though they're technically at home.
Yeah.
So maybe it's back. So it's kind of weird. They're at home, but they're traveling.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's an advantage or a disadvantage, but I think Minnesota's an advantage going from Ireland to London. That's not a terrible trip. And I like their offense much better, assuming Gabriel. I mean, I don't even know what the hell. Yeah, you guys tell me. You guys watch college more than me. What's Dylan Gabriel like?
He's actually kind of similar to Shador, where it's a lot of like short, accurate stuff.
Interesting.
So
he has a little bit more movement though than Shador.
Yeah, he's definitely a mobile guy. He can run.
Yeah.
I think Stefanski's like the perfect coach for Gabriel. I think he can use his skill set pretty well with the guys they got. The problem is now that I'm pretty sure Cedric Tillman is not in this game. I think he's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So it is down to just kind of like Jerry Jeudy and Harold Fannin because Njoku hasn't looked too good at all. So it'll be a light cast offensively.
I'm going to go with the Vikings here. I'm going to go 23 to 13. I don't know Dylan Gabriel well, so I'm gonna say the Vikings are gonna do it. Advantage for staying over, and again, I like their offense better. Defense, though, I could see a world where the first half is as ugly as Tim's talking about, like a 6-6 first half or something.
I think being overseas already gives them an advantage. So, like, your body's accustomed to being overseas. I understand they're in a different area, but it's different than obviously being in the States. Then I've got Minnesota 22-15 in this game. I think it will be close, the touchdown game, but I just think Minnesota's a little better than Cleveland at this point. And they have more. I trust their offense more to get it done. Dylan Gabriel could do what Jackson Dart did last week and shock people and upset the team that was probably supposed to beat them. I mean, obviously the Chargers were supposed to beat them, but yeah. So we'll see. But next we've got another backup quarterback playing in this game, but an interesting one. We've got the Houston Texans heading to Baltimore. Baltimore's 1.5-point underdogs in this game. We'll start with Kyle on this one. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
It's an interesting game, to say the least. When I mentioned the Rams and their injuries earlier, that's who the Ravens remind me of right now, with the bevy of injuries they've gotten these first few weeks. Then obviously you're up without Lamar. You got Cooper Rush, who you talk about better backup quarterbacks. Cooper Rush is probably one of the better backup quarterbacks you could have. Both of these teams are going to be essentially playing for their season here, it seems like. And who knows, maybe Lamar comes back next week, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Baltimore is a tough place to play. The Texans' offense isn't anything to speak of. But that's kind of how we felt about the Chiefs going into last week, and Baltimore hasn't really got any healthier. That being said, I do see it being a game where they can lean on Derrick Henry, and he'll probably be the best player on the field overall. So if he can get loose on the Texans' defense, I could see a world where they have an advantage over the Texans. That being said, I could see a world where C.J. Stroud carves them up a little bit, and they take the mantle. So this is a very tough game for me to assess. I'm going to roll with Baltimore, being at home, fighting for their season, because if not, this is going to be a shit show of a second half. It'll be very similar, though, to the Rams, because I believe the Rams started off, what did they start? They started off 0-3 last year without Kupp,
They started off 1-4, and then they went to 2-4, and then they had a Thursday night game against the Minnesota Vikings, which was kind of their, like, if you win this game,
you have life.
You can get back. If not, they got people back for it because Puka was not supposed to play in that game, but he ended up playing in that game, and they won 30-20, and that's kind of what turned their season around.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Ravens seem like, because there's going to be, if they lose this game especially, there's going to be people who count them out. But realistically, there's so much season left that, they will have an outside chance. In the AFC, that 7th spot, you should have an outside chance. So I'm going to roll with Baltimore. I'm going to roll with Derrick Henry. This is like a Derrick Henry versus C.J. Stroud type of pick right here. I'm going to pick an ugly game. Let's go 17-14. I think it's going to be much like Tim said the previous game is going to be.
I agree with you on this one, at least for the score range. I think this one will be a pretty ugly one. even if CJ Stroud does carve up the Baltimore defense, I could still see them scoring like 17 points out of it. So that it wouldn't surprise me. Woody Marks looks pretty damn good from the receiving game. I still don't think we have a running game for Houston, but I think in the receiving game, he's a check down guy.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a very good thing for them. So I think that will keep them rolling, but I just don't trust them against Harbaugh right now. So I'm gonna stick with Baltimore. I think they're the better team, even injured. I think they're the better team. This is another thing that kind of confused me. Cooper Rush, I agree, good backup to have. Not for Baltimore though. I feel like this takes their whole playbook and just rips it right in half.
I think they have Tyler Huntley too. I know Cooper Rush is starting.
I thought he was on Miami.
I think they cut him because he was
interesting.
Did they pick him up after Cleveland?
They picked, so it was Cleveland, and I want to say Miami, and then now he's on like the practice squad, I believe, for the Ravens. So he has a chance to be there, which
they should have like Tyrod Taylor or somebody like that.
He is
where they don't have to.
He is on the Ravens, in fact.
Interesting. So
this one could be an option.
Yeah, that should be their option, just because the playbook is similar with Huntley more than it is with Cooper Rush, unless he's got some wheels that we don't really know about. But I don't see too many QB draws coming from Cooper Rush here. So
in real life, my bad.
No, you keep going.
I was gonna say in real life, like they'll probably do might be like a play action based offense if they go Derrick Henry based, but if this was Madden would if Cooper Rush came in, it would still be Lamar's playbook. Like watch the Ravens just give Lamar or Cooper Rush Lamar's playbook on Sunday and just run an option after option.
That'd be great. That would be awesome. I'd still pick him to win, to be honest. I'm gonna keep it right in that same vein. I'll go 20-16. I think Baltimore. Like you said, go back to the AFC South days of Derrick Henry. This man runs on Houston, like 200+ yard.
We're about to get into it, Timmy.
Daily. So give me a big Derrick Henry, I'm still here kind of game, and he's gonna put this team on his back.
Kyle, what was your score again?
I believe it was 17-14.
Okay, thank you.
17-15 actually, Keenan.
I have a 23-19 Houston. I think this Ravens defense obviously has been gashed by everybody, and if they have a decided advantage at quarterback with CJ Stroud, they should have a decided advantage at quarterback with CJ Stroud, and they have a better defense than the Ravens defense. And if they have the advantage at quarterback, I've got to lean the Texans. They should win this game. The Ravens have the capabilities of winning. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're a bad roster at all, but the Texans, this should be a game you win. Your season hindered on. I do feel that the Ravens can still make the playoffs even if they lose this game. Like, it's still possible. They're going to, because 9-8 really could get you in the AFC in the 7th spot. But speaking on Derrick Henry, he's either played really bad or really good against the Texans. Like, he has some games, 6 carries, 7 yards, 8 for 30, 16 carries for 9 yards. But then he had this stretch where he went for 211, 212, 250, and 219 in a row. So he only ran for 200.
Those are damn near exact games, all those.
Yeah, he ran, other than one of them, he was 22 carries. It was 32, 22, 34, 32. In every game, he had at least 2 touchdowns, if not 3. One game, did he have one? Just either 2 or 3, and then he had 126 yards, and then and the next game after that. So, I mean, Derrick Henry needs to get back in that old school bag of what he used to do to the Texans. But with that being said, they're going to focus so much on Derrick Henry. It may not matter, but they're going to try to make it so Cooper Rush has to beat them. I don't think he can. That Houston defense is real. 23-19 Houston. Next, we will head to the Big NO. We will see the Giants head to the Saints. The Saints are 1.5 point favorites. All of these are via FanDuel. You might be able to get the Saints 2.5 in other places, but FanDuel, as of right now, the Saints are 1.5-point favorites. Timmy, we'll start with you. What do you think?
The old Louisiana Saints.
I'm not going to lie. When I heard you say that to Kyle, I was like, man, who calls him that? And then that kind of sounds fire. I'm not going to lie. The Louisiana Saints kind of sound fire.
The Saints have played actually good football. Like, I get it, they're 0-4, but they've been competitive in every
They played a good,
game.
bad football.
They're the best, worst team in the NFL right now. So they're at home. I think it'll be close. I remember the Giants have played the Saints like 3 years in a row, and I'm pretty sure every single time I've picked the Giants, and they've lost every single time. So now I'm going to pick the Saints, and the Giants are going to win because that's just how it works. I'll take it 20-16, decent game. Then we got
that's a go-to score for this man.
2-1-4. Yeah, honestly. I'm just gonna put them all 20-16 games now.
I mean, with this week, it could work. There's a lot of games there. If you said 20-16 to me, I'd be like, all right. The next 4 or 3 you could give me, and I'd be like, all right. Kyle, go on.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. I sent Timmy earlier a game from probably maybe 8 years ago. It was Saints Giants at the Dome, and Eli and Drew Brees had a quarterback duel for the ages. It was like 7 touchdowns for Drew Brees, I believe 5 or 6 for Eli, ton of yards, shootout. I think it was 52-49, a crazy game. This is the exact opposite of that with Spencer Rattler and Jackson Dart. Saints are a better team to me, honestly, as competitive as the Giants are. I honestly believe, like, we kind of talked about Chargers Giants last week, but Russ could have won that game. It wasn't Jackson Dart that won him the game as much as it was the run game and the defense. Like, they could have played any one of those 3 quarterbacks and won that game. Saints have a competitive defense and an above average offensive line. They're due for a win. They're at home. Jackson Dart, Spencer Rattler, right now, not much of a difference. I know Jackson Dart's supposed to be the future, but Rattler's all right. They moved the ball. They moved the ball up and down against the Bills last week. They were competence the word. I mean, I had said in the preseason, like, I think this is going to be the team that's going to, like, I think they're going to surprise some people as far as how competitive they are. But, like, they've even exceeded my expectations as far as how competitive they are. It's been very consistent. So, I'm going to go Saints. Tough one to pick the score. Let's go 25-22, 25-18. They're a touchdown. Big win for the Saints.
I've got this 18-16 Giants. I think they're going to keep this game low scoring. Both teams are going to just try to run the ball. And I like the dual threat nature. I'm not that Spencer Rattler isn't a dual threat, but I like the dual threat nature of Jackson Dart a little more. I think that this defense can get after the quarterback a little bit better than the Saints can. Overall, I think I got the Giants winning this game 18-16. The Saints easily could win this, so it's one of those games where it's just up in the air. Next, we go to Carolina. The Miami Dolphins are heading there. The Carolina is a 1.5-point underdog in this game. They actually started favored by 1.5 early this week. It got bet down. I think after that Miami win on Monday night, people felt a little more confident, even with the loss of Tyreek Hill, one of the more disgusting injuries you'll see. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
This is one of the most insane lines I've ever seen. Miami only favored by 1.5. I don't know how you can go from, however you feel about New England, I don't know how you can go from New England favored by 5.5 at home to Miami only getting 1.5 on the road. It's not a big trip. And Miami's probably got a more consistent offense in New England at this point, even without Tyreek, even coming off New England's performance. Unless they're factoring in that 30-0 to Atlanta from Carolina, I do not understand this line at all, because Carolina just has no threat of a defense. Aside from that one game, that's the only game we've seen it in a few years was that Atlanta game 2 weeks ago. And, we talked about it Tuesday. I thought Miami's offense looked pretty damn good. I liked exactly what Mike McDaniel schemed up on Monday night. And the Jets defense, in my opinion, is much better than the Carolina Panthers defense. So you give them a full week of prep without Tyreek. I don't know. I can't imagine this not being a double-digit victory for the Miami Dolphins. So let's go 30-17. Actually, let's knock it down. Let's go 28-17.
I was going to say that I agreed with you word for word there, and then you said 30, and I was like, all right, that's a little too far. I agree. I think Miami's going to handle this game. They've actually played pretty competitively these last 2 or 3 weeks. They just don't have the record that we would want them to have. Losing Tyreek sucks, but against the Panthers, you don't necessarily need great wide receiver play to still win by double digits here. So I'll take it 24-13. I think it's a very convincing W. Still not in on the Miami Dolphins going forward, but this should be a good win for them.
They should win this game. I don't have it as high scoring as you guys, and I have it closer than you guys. The Jets had multiple opportunities to win that game last week. They just, obviously, credit to the Dolphins for punching the ball at the 3-inch goal line, but obviously in the first drive, Braylon Allen fumbles there. The amount of penalties that they have, the style of offense that the Jets were running, they just decide not to push the ball down the field or target Garrett Wilson in a way that he can be productive, and when they do, he catches touchdowns over people. But I thought the Jets' bad play also aided in the Dolphins' good play, but the Dolphins have looked more and more like the Dolphins that we expected over the last couple weeks, started with that Bills game. I got this 25-19 Miami. I do think that they're going to get the win here. J.C. Horn will be interesting to see how they have him on Waddle, or if they have him shading, like whatever they have there, obviously without Tyreek. But the Dolphins have more talent than the Panthers, and I can't consistently think that the Panthers are going to put together drives, especially without Chuba Hubbard. So I got the Dolphins winning this game 25-19.
Big A-Chan game.
Yeah, it should be. He could get 120 yards from scrimmage, receiving and rushing, so should be a big game for him. Next, we got Vegas heading to Indianapolis to face the Colts. The Colts are 6.5-point favorites in this one. Timmy, what are your thoughts?
Still going to take Indy. I think they're still a very good team. I don't like what I've seen out of Las Vegas. I think this is going to be a comeback to earth for Genty. I still think he can have a good game, but it's not going to be 150 and 3 touchdowns. So give it to me, Indy, 23-17. Decent game, but I'll have them cover, I guess.
23-17?
24-17. That covers.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're talking cover.
In my brain, I said 24, but I definitely.
Okay.
23 and a half to 17.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to go 16 or 20, if you wanted them actually to cover. Okay, Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Weird game to me. The Colts look like the real deal. The Raiders found something last week, obviously with Genty. We're in position to win that game. They're kind of playing for their season here, especially in a competitive division like the AFC West. I'm going to lean with the Raiders, actually, with the more desperate team. They're playing in a dome. If they don't win this game, it's going to be pretty much only the Chiefs games that they show up for. Pretty much like the last, 2 or 3 years. That's been their thing. Don't show up for the regular season, only show up for the Chief games. So I'm going to go field goal game here. Let's go 24-21. Tie game. Geno leads them down. Old ass Pete Carroll running around the sidelines after chewing gum, celebrating.
I've got the Colts winning this game 30-20. The Raiders have been prone to turn over the ball. Geno Smith is on 7 picks this year. The Colts are in the top 10 at taking the ball away from people. So I do think that this Colts defense will give some fits to the offense of the Raiders. Genty had that 64-yard run, which was huge. He had the 2 touchdowns, I believe, both receiving after those. Was it both receiving or just one receiving? Can't remember.
Just one. He had
Yeah, it
two
was just one.
rushing,
Yeah, it was a
receiving.
one receiving, and then the other. Yeah, but yards per carry wise, he still was low. If you obviously taking out the towards everything else other than that 64-yard run, obviously you count the 64-yard run. He did that. So, but I do think the Colts can neutralize him and have him still be around that below 4 yards per carry. I got it 30-20 Colts. I think they'll handily take care of this game.
The Raiders also lost their left tackle, which their line has sucked all year, but he was their best lineman, like by far, and they're losing him this game. So.
Yeah, there's no reason for me to pick this game. Actually, now with that information, like there's no reason for me to pick the Raiders. This should be a rout for the Colts, but I'm gonna ride or die with the 2023 Seattle Seahawks Raiders. So.
And your score was again, Kyle? I don't know why I didn't write it down. I just listened and forgot.
What'd I say? 24-21? Yeah, let's go with that.
24-21. Sorry. All right. One of the best games of the week. We've got Denver heading to Philly. Philly is a 4.5-point favorite. Kyle, we'll start with you.
I want to pick Denver. I really do want to pick Denver. I'm going to roll with Philly, though. I think they've won 18 straight home games. That Jalen Hurts starts front to back. So, though this is a game, I picked Denver to win the division. This is a game like they need if they're going to win the division. If you're a real deal, you'll win that game, whether it's Bo Nix, whoever your quarterback is, you win this game on the road against a contender. Philly just doesn't lose at home. And I've said it week in and week out, this game's going to be an ugly game. It's the kind of game Philly wants to play. Whether they throw it to A.J. Brown, whether they don't throw it to A.J. Brown, they just find a way to win these games. I do think Denver's going to play a tough game against them. God, I really do want to pick Denver here. I think they're built for it. Come back to me. I might switch. Come back to me.
If this game was in Denver, I would pick Denver.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. I don't know if I can pick them in Philly. It is just so tough. Yeah, I'm going to roll with Philly still. I'll take it 26-23. Good game. But like I said, this is in Denver. Just flip it. I'll take it the other way. But Philly for this one.
Completely agree.
So I have it 26-22 Philly. I do think they're going to try to feature A.J. Brown a little bit more. We'll see how that actually goes. But overall, I think Philly is a better team. Bo Nix has been giving you one. He's been throwing the other team one, whether you get it or not. So we know whether you get it or not. But I do think the Eagles will take advantage of that. And if you give the Eagles extra possessions, they'll be able to capitalize on that. So they're better in the short field when they don't have to travel down the field. Crazy stat is the Eagles have gone 3 and out 34% of their drives, which is crazy. That's third in the league. And the other teams up there, like the Vikings, the Bengals, the teams with backup quarterbacks, and the teams that aren't great. And then you have the Eagles sitting there at 34% for 3 and outs. Like 1 out of every 3 drives, they go 3 and out, which is crazy. But yeah, 26-22, I've got the Eagles.
Yeah, going into last game, speaking of that stat, Keen, I think it was going into that Rams-Colts game. The Colts had only punted once going into last week's game, which is insane. Daniel Jones-led offense. I'm talking myself into it here. I'm going to go with the Broncos to break the streak of Jalen Hurts. We saw some life finally out of R.J. Harvey last week. So if they can do that, they can control the ball. We've seen teams stack the box against Saquon and have success with that. So if they can this will be an ugly game. Let me reaffirm that. It's going to be an ugly game. If it stays that way, I think that kind of plays it to the Broncos' favor, honestly, especially if they can get anything out of the run game, adopt a play-action offense. There's success to be had. So, Keenan, actually, same score as you, Broncos, though.
Sean Payton, historically, I heard a stat the other day that he's 75% after the month of 75% win percentage after the month of September.
Wow.
With his offenses and kind of how they are, a lot to them, and then afterwards when they get rolling, So it was a very interesting stat that I saw there. But you got 26-22 Denver. Next, we've got Dallas heading to the New York Jets. The Jets are 1.5-point underdogs in this game. Timmy, we'll start with you.
1.5, not enough. I think the Cowboys convincingly win this game. The Jets defense, even though, like we said, it is a lot better than a lot of other teams, hasn't looked up to how good it was a couple years ago. And they have a very similar cast to it. So it is a bit confusing. I think Dak's playing pretty much out of his mind. Take away that Chicago game, and he's like an MVP caliber player right now. So I'm sure we'll have Keenan's QB rankings with him at the top coming soon.
Tip top.
Don't love what I see out of the Jets. They're going to be a good running team, and the Cowboys suck, so it'll probably work out. I'll take it 30-22 Dallas W.
What you got?
Kyle,
what you got, Ken? I want to hear you first.
I've got a 30-18 Dallas, even though this is a spot where Dallas wants to let you down. Like, this just like the classic. Dallas has been playing well all year, and in the game where they're now favored and people are confident in them, they're like, we'll just let it down. But I got 30-18 Dallas. I think that Dak is playing some of the best football of his career at the moment. He's playing very well. I like the way he has been operating the offense. The Jets have been a team that has been very undisciplined, a lot of false start penalties, a lot of stupid penalties, and I don't think on a short week those are going to get corrected, especially when they put an emphasis on it last week and it didn't work out still. So I think Dallas will be able to take advantage of that. I got 30-18 Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think bare minimum this is going to be a close game. It has to be a close game after the way the Jets came out and performed against the Miami Dolphins. Like Keenan just said, they've been so unprepared. Specifically last week, though, they looked woefully unprepared. Like, it was the same old Jets. Like, pick a team from the last decade plus. That's what they looked like for as far as the Jets go. Feels like it's a must win for them. Feels like it's got to at least be a great performance. The fact that it's at MetLife, that lends me to give the Jets some confidence. That's a tough place to play for quarterbacks. We saw it last week with Justin Herbert. It's just a weird place to play, especially in the fall. Pretty windy there. I'm going to roll with the Jets here, actually. Give me 25-19 New York Jets. Justin Fields with a big day. Tough day for Dak Prescott.
Well, that's good you chose 19 and nothing under that, because Justin Fields is 0-25 when teams score 21 or more points.
Wow.
Which is
that's
one of
crazy.
the stats been circulating.
21 happens and you just like just get scared.
No, it's like it's genuinely.
Hey guys,
start shaking.
Like, that's it.
It's insane. Like, and there's been close games obviously within that, but literally, if the team scores more than 20, he's 0-25 in his NFL career, which was one of the most insane stats that I've seen.
So I wonder, like, if the clock, like, if he gets a dead ball on a play at like 2 minutes and 10 seconds, does he like throw an interception or fumble the ball every single time too? You just have a fear of this number 21 here.
It's just like, it's insane. It's crazy. But next we've got a game that I truly don't care about personally. Tennessee heading to Arizona. Arizona's 8.5-point favorites.
They should be 8.5-point favorites. Tennessee looks pretty damn bad.
I mean, Cam Ward said it best.
Yeah, he sure did. I say that they should be 8.5-point favorites, and like I could totally see them not winning by 8.5 here. So give it to me 20-10. I'll give them the 8.5, but I don't think it'll be convincing. So, yeah, Callahan could be gone after this week.
Your answer for this
right
sounded
coach?
as convincing as you just.
This is Brian Callahan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is Brian. This is Callahan.
He could be fired after this week. So.
Yeah, I'd said over the offseason, I brought this up, I think, a couple times. Like, I think we did a category like, what team are you not looking forward to watch play this year? And I said, any game the Titans are on, like, just get them off my TV. I don't want to watch the Titans. And then I think one of you guys said, like, well, at least I'll have Cam Ward. And even like in my off time after we recorded, I'm like, kind of right. Like normally you can talk yourself into a bad team because they'll have like the number one pick, whether it's a quarterback or whoever. Like you want to see that rookie and see how they develop, see how they play. And it still has been every bit as listless. Like Cam Ward had that one play across his body, and they had that first game. Like who they play the first game? Was it the Raiders? Who was their opening game? Denver, that's right.
Broncos.
And it was a close game, and Calvin Ridley had all those drops. And even still, they're just boring. Brian Callahan is just dumb. He's not a good coach. This is not a good team. The Cardinals, who I picked to make the playoffs, haven't been any sort of convincing or exciting to watch, anything. They've also been kind of listless for the talent they have. I badly want to pick the Titans. Like this seems like a perfect trap spot for the Titans to just win, to just get their first win because they got to win at some point. But fun fact, Titans 3-18, or excuse me, Brian Callahan specifically 3-18 against the spread. Why would I pick them now? Especially when the Cardinals, bare minimum, this is why I picked the Cardinals to make the playoffs. Easy schedule, have enough talent to beat bad teams. Why would I, even without James Conner, why would I pick against them? Tennessee gives me no reason. So, I don't know, 23-9 to the Cardinals over the Titans. Fuck the Titans, man. Get Brian Callahan out of here. Get Cam Ward a real coach. And let's see what Tennessee can actually become. Because, yeah, Brian Callahan.
While Brian Callahan's coaching the same way 2 years ago, or when Russ was in Denver, I said I'll never pick Denver to get over 17 points because they refused to do it. I will not pick the Tennessee Titans to win a game until Brian Callahan is gone, even if I'm wrong. So 22-13 Arizona. They're just not winning. They can't do it. They get to get Joey Sly is going to probably miss kicks because it's just team-wise. The morale of that team, Cam Ward said it best. But let me get a good game here. I wish the Bucs were fully healthy, but we get Tampa Bay heading to Seattle. Timmy, what's up?
I'm gonna take
3.5 point favorites for Seattle, by the way.
Yeah, it makes sense. Bucky's not playing, or at least really doesn't look like he's gonna play.
No, Bucky, I think they already ruled out, and Mike Evans they ruled out.
Yep. I didn't actually mind what I saw out of Chris Godwin last week. He had the targets, just got to connect on them. But I think I'm still going to roll with Seattle here. This should be one of the better games of the week, even with the Tampa Bay at not full strength. They still super competitive team. They still find ways to win games. Baker's playing very well. I'm going to take Seattle though. I'll take it 23-20. Good game, really close. I just need to see the Bucs healthy, man. Get everybody back, and I could pick them to win this game easily. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kyle, your thoughts?
I can't disagree with anything Tim said. If the Bucs were more healthy, I'd probably pick them to win this game close. But the fact that they're not tips the scales a little bit for Seattle to me, who I'm not really sure. I don't think they're a bad team. I'm not sure if they're a good team either, but I do think they're good enough. That defense is definitely good enough. And then, come on, we say it all the time. The 12th man, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And that's going to be like a playoff atmosphere, especially with Seattle having a winning record. And I think Seattle gets it done, say 24-23.
This game I've been going back and forth on. Tampa Bay was my 1 seed. They need this game if they want to keep with the 1 seed. Obviously, they lost to Philly last week. Could come down to it. My heart wants the Bucs, but my head is saying that Seattle's going to win. So we're going to go with Seattle 25-21, and I'm okay if I'm wrong. I just think Seattle's a little healthier right now. They are coming off a long week, so they did play on last Thursday, so they got extra rest. I think that will matter in this game. Plus, they're at home, so I do think Baker can get it done, but Seattle right now is the healthier team. And my favorite game of the week, Washington heading to the Chargers. The Chargers are 2.5 point favorites.
This, I think, is going to be the hardest game for me to pick Washington gets Jaden Daniels back. I still don't think they'll have Terry. I don't know if he's been ruled out yet, but
Terry's been ruled out, but Debo's been ruled in.
Debo's in. Where is this one? Is this in LA?
This one, LA. Might not totally matter, but
yeah, I'll still take LA here. I think it's going to be a good game though, so I'll take it 30-26. Good game. Good game back from Jaden. I think he'll have a solid game. Yeah.
What's the Chargers favored by in this game?
2.5.
Seems about right. This would be one of my favorite games if Washington was more healthy. Washington's been a team who I haven't loved the way they played so far. That being said, the Chargers are without Joe Alt, right? So, I mean, they're just banged up on the offensive line. We saw how that looked against the Giants last week. They still should be able to get it done. It's a weird game. I'm going to go with the Chargers, though. I'm going to go 23-17. Do you think the Commanders make a bit of a run, later in October, the healthier they get? I think they make a run.
I think that the Chargers do end up losing this game. I have the Commanders winning 26-21. The Commanders were able to put up 27 last week. I know, albeit against the Falcons, but they were able to put up 27 the week before. I think it was 41 they put up against the Raiders, if not close to. So this offense has been able to move the ball without Jaden. I think Jaden being back only helps that out. I know they're playing a much better defense than they played in the Falcons and the Raiders, but I do think Jaden's going to be able to get it done. 26-21 Commanders.
It was kind of garbage time with them moving the ball against the Falcons too, because the Falcons were kind of in control of that game. So that was a little tricky there with how it looked with their offensive stats. Like they did move the ball a little bit, but I'm worried about how they can
it was Terry. Instead of it going from like a one touchdown game to like a tied game where it was back and forth, it was really going from a 2 touchdown game to a 1 touchdown game. So like the Falcons were always up a score, and then the Commanders were responding to give themselves a chance, but it wasn't like they were really battling with them. So I get what you're saying. Then we got, I'll be shocked if anyone picks anything but a blowout here, or a convincing win. We got Detroit heading to Cincinnati. 10.5 point game. Cincinnati is underdogs.
To me, this game, from Vegas' standpoint, makes no sense. They're 10.5 point favorites, implied that they're going to score 30, which gives Cincinnati 20 points. I don't know if they get 20 yards. Like, this could be a bloodbath game. So give it to me. This is an exact game where Detroit just never takes their foot off the pedal and they win it 48-10. So I'll take that. 48-10, Detroit W. Jared Goff's going to throw for 6 touchdowns.
Ooh, that's a prediction right there.
Love it.
I kind of wanted to pick the Bengals in this game, and I can't get there. Like, they're coming off back-to-back just rough games, right? Like, everything's tough for them right now. Like, they got to at least show something. Like, they don't have to win this game, but they at least got to show competitiveness heading into the middle of October, heading into November and December without Joe Burrow. You got to show your fans something. You got to show your organization something. So I'll pick a bit of a closer game, but that's the thing. Every time you think the Lions, and this includes even last year, anytime you think the Lions are just going to like just slip a little bit, they handle them. I can't remember a team, Keenan, and I'm sure there is other teams, but they handle themselves like such a championship team for a team that's never won anything. Like, they handle themselves like a championship team. I remember saying that about them late last year. Like, they do not lose focus at all. So Tim's probably going to be right here as far as like how much of a blowout it is. I'm going to pick it a little closer. I'm going to say something like 28-20, right? Touchdown, 2-point conversion. I'll give Cincinnati some respect because they're kind of playing, they're in a sense playing for their season here. So I got to give them something. 28-20. weird game for the Lions, I guess.
So the Lions are a team that don't sleep on other teams. Like, they treat every opponent like they're an opponent that they got to beat, and that's the mindset of Dan Campbell, which is why I think this game's 37-12 Detroit. I just don't. Last week was the week that, okay, they're playing a good defense, coming off a big win against the Ravens on a Monday night. Maybe this is the week where they don't play all that great and they won 34-10 because they don't sleep on teams. You can beat them, and sometimes they have bad games, but it's not because usually a lack of effort. It's just they don't play well, and that comes usually to Jared Goff turnovers. I don't think the Bengals can force Jared Goff into turning the ball over. So 37-12, I just don't see much that they're going to do with them. We go to Sunday Night Football, and we got the New England Patriots heading to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 8.5-point favorites in this game. Timmy, what are your thoughts?
Prime time. I think the lights are a little too bright for Drake Maye, but I still think it'll be a competitive game. I think they'll cover. You said 8.5?
8.5.
That's a lot of points. So
that is a lot of points.
I'm going to take it 28-23. I think they cover. I think it is a closer game. Yeah, I like what I've seen out of the Patriots. The Bills, although they are 4-0, and I have like more confidence in them winning a game than most other teams in the NFL right now, they still haven't had like that beating game where they just blow a team out that they should blow out, like really convincingly. So I think this is a good spot for the Patriots to get it close and even have a chance at winning this game. But I just think the lights are too bright for Drake. He needs another year. So,
Kim, what do you think about this game?
I've got this game 34-31 Buffalo. I do think Drake rise. I think it's going to be one of those games where we say the Buffalo Bills are still the class of the AFC East, but Drake Maye is on the rise. And we're looking at, because obviously you've made people make the comparisons because it's a bigger guy. You've got Drake Maye has been very much playing at the same level, at least statistically, as Josh Allen. If you compare them, passer rating about the same, total touchdowns about the same, yards per game about the same. So I think this is going to be the game where people are like, is Drake Maye trying to solidify himself as the second best quarterback in this class behind where Jaden is obviously after last year, but Josh Allen is still the pinnacle of that division. 34-31 Buffalo.
I got to say, I didn't really understand the Drake Maye Josh Allen comparisons before, and I still really don't. Like, Josh Allen seems like 2 times bigger than Drake Maye. Granted, Drake May's a
they're size-wise, like height, about the same. It's just that Josh Allen is like 20 to 25 pounds. He's a little bit more physical of a player. He has the big arm. The guy coming out of a smaller school that needs to be worked on, but has all the arm talent, has all the talent as a quarterback. So like that's kind of where it comes in. But Josh Allen has more of the Cam Newton style build. And Drake Maye doesn't really have that kind of build, even though he is a stronger guy.
Yeah. Look, I got it 30-20 Bills. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but not a super competitive game, or I should say it'll be a game where the Patriots are hanging around, but the Bills kind of pull away at the end. I think it'll be one of those games. Enough to where we can show some promise, see some promise from the Pats. I don't think they're there yet, though. I know Pats fans are excited, but I don't know. Yeah, I've been consistent. I think more towards the end of this month, and then heading towards November, and then towards Thanksgiving. That's when I really think the Pats are really going to gel. You're going to see this defense come together, and I think that's when we're going to see like what Drake Maye is. I think this game will be fun, competitive, but I don't think it'll be necessarily that close, right? But I think it'll be a decent game overall. 30-20 Bills.
Okay. And then last but not least, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs heading to Jacksonville. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are 3-point underdogs in this game. Timmy, what are your thoughts?
Jacksonville has been really good at getting turnovers on defense.
13 on the year.
I think they're the number one team on turnovers.
They're number one by a few turnovers.
Their offense, they've kind of revived the run game, but the passing game has struggled. Don't love that when it comes into Kansas City, but Kansas City has also kind of struggled against running backs this year, so maybe it works out. I think Kansas City gets the dub here. I really want to pick Jacksonville, though. But I'm going to roll with Kansas City still. I'll take it 24-21.
Yeah, this is actually, so you got to push there, right? Kansas City favored by 3.
Yep.
This is actually one of my favorite games of the week. If Jacksonville wasn't one of the dumbest teams of all time, I would probably pick them to win. But they love making games extremely close. Kevin Clark, football analyst, used to work for The Ringer. I think he works for ESPN now. He had a tweet that he had pinned and he would retweet it every time the Seahawks played, like especially during the end of the Russ era. And it would just say, the Seahawks have literally never played a normal football game. That's how I feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, they could be up 30-5, and I would trust the other team to come back, and I would not trust the Jacksonville Jaguars to hold that lead. Like, that's just how I feel. They will give you every chance to get back in a game. If I bet on them, I wouldn't feel safe. If I bet against them, I wouldn't feel safe. That's the kind of team they are. So I think they'll put the fear of God in the Chiefs. They definitely have the talent to do it. But I think the Chiefs come out on top. Let's say 27-25 Chiefs.
Kansas City last week was in a desperate mode, I believe. Don't want to fall to 1-3, especially you want to be able to compete for the division still, get as best of seeding as possible. But now you've got a situation where I think they're just going to try to take care of the ball because you have a Jacksonville Jaguars team who will give it to you. Pause. Crazy. But the Jacksonville Jaguars can turn the ball over. But they also can turn you over. So I mean, the Chiefs are just gonna have to play a clean game, and I think that's what they're going to do is just play a clean game. I got a 23-17 Chiefs.
Would love to know what Brandon Petty thinks about this game. Brandon Petty, get well soon. Get well soon. Hopefully we see you next week.
Get well soon. We had no picks from Brandon last week. We're going to have to decide what that means for him, if it's just a mulligan week or if it's like what kind of week do we have?
We might have to give him 0-16.
It'd be 0-15-1.
Oh, true. He would get the tie.
He'd be 1-14-1 because I think he made a pick for Seattle, Arizona.
That's true.
Oh yeah, so he'd be 1-14-1 if we want to go that for him, which would be great for Kyle because Kyle would get out of last. It'd be a phenomenal for Kyle. We'll figure it out. Record wise, right now we got me at 44-19-1, Timmy at 43-20-1, Kyle at 34-29-1. Brandon's 37-11 going into last week, but we don't know what he would have been after last week.
The world will never know.
We know he would have had one tie.
That we know.
That's what we do.
That we know.
Unless he called the tie.
Apparently he got Seattle right. So he was on the right. He was 1-0 going into the weekend.
He was 1-0 as we were.
He said his boys was coming up from ATL to turn up with him in Duval County. So like maybe things just got a little too rowdy.
Yeah,
so rowdy he couldn't even pick the scores. Maybe that's what happened.
This was the Warner Brothas Podcast. Kyle, Timmy, and myself, Keenan. Follow us on Instagram at Warner Brothas Podcast, TikTok Warner Brothas Podcast, and YouTube at Warner Brothas Podcast. We appreciate all of you guys, and we'll be seeing you guys again very soon.
Hey, go check out Keenan's almost said WWE pod. Go check out Keenan's WNBA pod that he just put up. We got the finals going on right now.
Yes, I did talk about the whole Nafisa Collier situation. I did talk about the WNBA finals, gave my predictions on it. And is the hype real? Kyle's been on that podcast featured twice. We want to have them on here, and I want to go on there here soon. So check that out as well.